welcome to Universal After Dark, a Universal podcast that's not the same as all the others. Right, now I know what you're thinking. We listen to Universal After Dark because it means we don't have to listen to Nick ramble on, interrupt everyone, and just be crap. Unfortunately, for those people that don't like me, here I am. And this, unfortunately for you, dear listener, is another edition of Universal After Dark. We are joined by, I would say, the A-team nowadays of Mr. Ripley.
Hello.
Mr. Washington.
Hello.
And so the best for last, Miss White.
Hi.
How do you feel, by the way, Miss White? You've been taken out of Cluedo. Have you heard about this?
That's news to me.
Are you offended? You didn't even know? Oh, how embarrassing.
I'm double offended now.
Can't believe we broke it on this podcast that Amanda's been taken out of Cluedo.
I think I'm just going to go and cry.
Honestly. Yes. The good news, though, I don't think you was murdered.
Oh, that's all right then.
I think they just replaced you with a younger model. But there we go.
Even younger than I am.
Okay, fair enough, yes. Must be the same age.
I think Craig was also removed because his nickname at weekends is Colonel Mustard.
It's not his Professor Plum. Yes, there is no Craig this week, and Mr. D is also indisposed, so it is just us. And actually, before we start the show, because one of the things that, although I was happy for this to be kind of like a side project we did every now and again, it was actually the first show that I made a jingle for, and we also got some new music, which was the Jurassic Park theme. I suppose it's the main theme of Jurassic Park. I think that's what it's known as, isn't it?
Yeah.
That song. And it's obviously a rock version of that song. And we haven't really shouted out who it was. So the guy is called Eric Calderon. I believe that's right. If not, shoot me. Not literally. And he's got a YouTube channel. That's how I found him. I think I randomly typed in. It was either Universal Rock or Jurassic Park Rock. I can't remember what it was at the time. And this guy just does rock guitar covers of all different types of songs. Normally songs from films and TV shows. But he's awesome, and his videos are just him. So you see him playing, and I mean he's an amazing guitarist, absolutely. And I kindly went to him cup in hand and asked if we could use his Jurassic Park work to be the opener for this podcast, and he said yes. So he's let us do that for gratis in way of just us promoting him. So thank you for that. And yeah, if you want to go and check him out on YouTube, he's done loads of songs. He's done a really good Jaws one. Let It Go, if you like Frozen. That's more Disney. But yeah, you name it, he's probably done it. And I think he actually does requests as well. So if you actually contact him, I think his website's The Guitar Man. I'll double check that actually. And yeah, you can request stuff for him to do. So yeah, nice guy, and thank you, Eric, for giving us the music. Now there's been a few things that have happened since we've last come together to talk about Universal. So shall we lead off with the hotel news?
Yes.
Is that good? Okay. So Amanda, over to you.
So, Sapphire Falls finally opened last Thursday, and it looks awesome. It looks absolutely incredible. I don't know if you guys have seen the YouTube videos. I've been going around of like the room tours and the resort tours, but it looks absolutely incredible. And I am not nervous at all about staying there anymore. Because it was getting a little bit like, oh my God, it's not finished. Where am I going to stay? But honestly, it looks fabulous.
I've got to be honest, I've not watched any videos because I don't want to spoil the ride for myself. Oh no, sorry, that's everything else. Cool. So you're looking forward to going there now?
Oh, so much. Honestly, I think it's like strong competition for the Hard Rock now.
Wow.
It looks unreal. The pool has got a 0 entry that goes through the middle of it. So it's like you're walking on water, like across the middle of the pool.
Like Jesus?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Other religious icons are available, of course. That's not your bag.
But they've got some new technology on the doors as well. So rather than putting
Handles!
No, not handles.
Oh, okay.
Rather than inserting your key card into it, you just touch your key card to an RFID scanner.
You know, I'm so glad Craig was on here, because there was a slight pause between rather than insert your card into the door. And, you know, if Craig was here, you can only imagine. So it's gone Magic Band.
Yep, pretty much. So that's going to be a lot easier for people to get into the rooms. And I'm assuming that maybe sometime in the future you'll be able to get a magic band type of thing.
Well, there's a question I've got about that, actually. Now you've mentioned RFID. Does anybody know what the technology is in the wands?
No.
I think it's the same.
Yeah, I think it's the same.
Why would you have a magic band then when you can have a magic wand?
Well, yeah, like opening your door with a wand would be pretty cool.
Well, it would be pretty cool. It would be the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Well, there's Universal. You can have that one for free. Now, remember where you heard that? You didn't hear that from Malaby. You heard it from us. Yes. So, has anyone else seen any videos of Sapphire Falls?
I've not seen any of the videos, but I was having a look at some of the menus earlier for the restaurants.
That is a Craig move to do.
Yeah, and it is very Caribbean themed. They've gone full on proper Caribbean stuff, not like the Caribbean Beach Resort that sells you burgers, but they're selling things like curried goat. And
No way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
You sure it's not goat curry?
No.
It's curried goat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this a tomato situation? I'm confused.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's a long story, but some people call it curry goat, some people call it goat curry, and there's always this big argument about what it should be called.
That's like the bagel argument.
Mm.
And I don't care if there's not an I in it. It's not a bagel, is it?
Who says bagel?
Well, that's the question, Amanda, isn't it? That really right there.
That's not even a real word.
People that I've got a problem with, quite clearly. So this will be the first channel we'll get a load of abuse for. That's fine. We've got a new email address that you can abuse us with, so we'll give that out to you later on.
Yeah, we've not had an email in it yet, so
well, now we will, as soon as this is published. That's good though, because I think there's nothing worse than going to like a themed place like that and it not having authentic food. Because I mean, I get that you have to be quite careful in not alienating people too much. I mean, whatever way you like to have your go, some people might, be turned off by that because, you have people that like, oh no, I'll only eat chicken, for example. Goat's quite a bold choice. It's not a bold choice if you're into Caribbean food. It's like it is the Caribbean equivalent of chicken, really. But one would argue, but it's good that they've kept it authentic.
yeah.
Amanda, I have a very important question.
Okay.
How many Pokemon Go stops does it have?
I wouldn't know because I'm not playing it.
Oh, man.
I'm so
This is
over it.
important journalism stuff we're doing here.
It is Pokemon.
Is that what your next book's going to be, Chris?
It is, but a guide to where to find your closest Pokemon Go stop and not get done into the back of a van.
I saw a news article about, because obviously people have been very stupid with Pokemon Go, and a kid that in America who had crossed a very busy road, not looking, because there was a Pokemon at the other side of the road, and of course the problem is not with Idiot Boy, according to the parents. It is completely down to Pokemon and the makers of Pokemon Go
wow.
for doing it, and how irresponsible it is. And this kid was probably about 16, 17. We're not talking like a 5-year-old or something. Not that I think kids that age should be playing it, but yeah, just complete madness, isn't it? Absolutely madness. That it's obviously a game's fault.
Well, I crossed the road from my house to Sainsbury's. I got a small Sainsbury's opposite my house. It's literally 15 paces. This was earlier.
Local.
And I saw, a Sainsbury's local, and I saw 3 different people all playing the same Pokemon game because there's a Pokemon stop at Sainsbury's.
So
this is how sad it's getting now.
How do we know or what's made them decide where Pokemon stops are?
Oh, I don't know. I thought you were going to ask, how do I know there's a Pokemon stop in Sainsbury's? Because I bloody downloaded it.
We got one. Not a Pokemon, a user. Lovely. So maybe you can talk about the phenomena then that is Pokemon Go, because I haven't got a Scooby-Doo.
Well, the first rule of Pokemon Go is to accept you have a problem. No, I don't have a clue. I don't understand it. I mean, I know it makes me sound incredibly old. I'm only in my early 30s, but I ain't got a bloody clue what I'm doing.
What I think is quite funny, right, is I've got a lot of friends. So I just turned 33, as some other people have done as well. And I've got a lot of friends my age or slightly older that are obsessed with Pokemon Go. Or if they're not obsessed, they've been playing it a lot. You call it what you want. Now, these are people that I remember when Pokemon came out, like the original Pokemon, were like, "Oh, what's this kids crap?" Like, and now like, Pokemon Go, I want to consume you. Like, I don't get it. I don't get why you were too young for it. Like, unless they were complete closet cases, because I think that is part of the thing. My brother, who's a few years younger than me, loved Pokemon. In fact, that was the first time I'd ever seen an emulator on a computer. Was he had a Game Boy emulator so he could play the different Pokemon games, and he was into it, and I got it, but I didn't have my own Game Boy, so I wasn't, I wasn't going to buy one for one game, so I never really kind of got into the whole hype. I thought the cartoon was alright. I had no problem admitting I watched the cartoons, so I know the characters and stuff, but yeah. But it's the fact that these people that used to slag it off are now the ones that are obsessed by it. It's bizarre, but
Typical.
it's funny how it's completely taken over the world. I mean, the way that people were going crazy because they had to create American iTunes accounts because they couldn't wait for the UK release 4 days later. Yeah.
4 days. Yeah.
Crazy.
I see also on, I think it was Orlando United, one of those websites, that they've actually done a guide to where all the places are that you can stop at Universal and Disney to find the Pokemon stops.
Now, this is the thing. I know we've gone off from talking about Sapphire Falls, and maybe we'll come back to it. Maybe we'll just spend the rest of the time talking Pokemon Go. No, we won't. But I was talking about this the other day with my wife because she also hasn't downloaded it. She just assumed because I'm an idiot that I would have done by now, but she was mistaken wrong on this occasion. And I said, like, the worry that I've got is that we already have in the parks this issue of people walking around with iPads, or we had people walking around with selfie sticks and not really appreciating the parks for what they are. And now you've got people like spending their days there finding Pokemon. And I think it's a real shame that there's not certain places you can't do it. Because to me it must be a distraction, not just for the the thing is, if people want to play that one in a Disney park, I suppose that's their choice. But people paid really good money for these holidays, and you're gonna have people running about chasing after Pikachus and Jigglypuffs.
I've seen a few parents complaining on some Florida groups about their kids that they spent all that money to take them over, and they are literally just interested in playing Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, if that was my kids, I'd take their phones off them.
Yeah.
As my kids are 3 and 1.5, that's quite easy for me to do. Also known as taking candy from a baby. But yeah, I mean I'll just take their phones off them. What are they going to do?
Oh, sorry.
Have we got breaking news?
Sorry.
Things just in. Kristen's got a Jigglypuff.
I wasn't playing Pokemon Go. I've got a Rattata in the room. That's what I was looking at.
Oh, I had one of those in my kitchen once. What am I going to do?
I got a Rattata in the room. That's what I was looking at.
Oh, I had one of those in my kitchen once. What am I going to do? That's a joke that about 12 people will get. Which is good actually, because that means everyone listens to this podcast will get their joke.
Can I tell you a very funny story quickly about iPads?
You can indeed.
You know those big professional ones that came out?
The iPad Pro.
Yeah, about a week after, we was in Universal Hollywood, and you know the trams aren't particularly very good. I mean, there's not a massive window to look out of.
Mm.
I was sat next to a girl who had an iPad Professional and was trying to film the damn bloody tour all the way around.
Wow.
So every time I looked to my right to look at, I don't know, Jaws or Murder, She Wrote, it was a damn poxy iPad in the way.
Wow.
It does my nutting. The thing is, as well, like I think we've all been guilty of doing stuff like this. I certainly have, of like filming a parade or filming fireworks or something like that. Now, if I'm at Disneyland Paris, for example, I'll probably go and watch streams 2 or 3 times while I'm there, depending on how many days I'm there. But I'll see it, a few nights that I'm there normally. Now, I normally decide to film one performance, and then like the other performances, I'll watch as a spectator. But I am quite conscious of making sure I don't hold my camera up in someone's face. I know people like to lift. iPads are the worst one. iPads are the worst for that because you can see it so clearly through the screen exactly what you're filming. People kind of angle it and have it up high and and all that. It's really frustrating. But I do try and be conscious with it. But it's a shame that it's such a common thing now. And I do think there should be a limit to the size that you should be able to use.
Well, why do you need to bring an iPad into the park? That's
Well,
what I think.
I agree, but the thing is, people literally think their iPads are their all-in-one devices. So it's not just to keep the kids entertained; it's also to take their pictures on, to take their videos on. Now, most people know that although the pictures you can take on an Apple device are okay, they're not going to be as good as you can get on a camera.
No, exactly.
But if you don't want to carry a camera around with you as well, I'll just carry the iPad. It's flat, slips in my bag, whatever. But I'm with you. I mean, I'm not a fan of tablets in parks at all. To be honest, I think they should be a tablet-free zone. But phones and tablets are getting more and more similar sizes now, so it's hard to say what should be allowed and what shouldn't be allowed, and that's the problem with technology. Now, curried goat.
Goat curry.
Yeah, goat curry. Yeah. So what about jerk?
Yeah, that
don't
was
mean
on there
Craig.
as well.
Are we talking about Craig again?
Yeah, no, not Craig this time.
Okay.
I mean, it's good to point it out, obviously.
Yeah. No names mentioned.
So there's jerk on the menu.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's got to be, surely. And I know this sounds like a bit of an odd one, but what about live music?
They have a band in the lobby that plays little steel drums and a guitar, and they just play Caribbean music.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything about it, I love it. It just all looks so cool. Honestly, watch some videos.
Is it the Baja Men?
No, unfortunately not.
That's a shame. I wonder what they're doing next. I wonder if they found those dogs. Oh my God, they could. That's what they could do, couldn't it? The Baja Men can make a similar comeback to Pokemon, and they can release an app like Baja Men Go, and
You have to
you've
catch
got
the dogs.
Catch dogs.
Wow.
Hey, Baja Men, license to print money. You won't hear that on the UOP.
Do you know what? Do you know why I hate that song?
How many minutes have you got?
Well, I occasionally go dog racing, and they play that damn song before every single race.
No
and you just end up wanting to
way.
kill people.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I've gone to dogs because where I used to live, and still I suppose relatively nearby, is Romford Dog Track, and I've been there a few times, but I don't think I've ever heard that song. Surprisingly.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they should be playing, especially because of where it is, Rabbit by Chaz and Dave.
Well,
before every race.
They used to play classical music.
Well, yes, it's such a decadent evening.
Yeah, and then now they play that. I mean, from one extreme to the other.
Wow.
Was there some bloke in a suit walking around with a big plate of Ferrero Rochers? Jesus Christ. What's that for dessert? Viennetta. Right. Wowzers. So the bottom line is that without going there, but from the footage that you've seen thus far, they've knocked it out of the park.
100%. And I've also got a little tip for anyone that wants to stay there and hasn't booked yet.
Ooh.
So I booked a King Lagoon view room back in January when they'd first released the rooms, and I emailed Sapphire Falls the day that they opened and asked whether I'd be able to see the theme park from that room. And no, I can't, but they said if I wanted a theme park view, what I'd need to do is book a standard room with a standard view in Building 2. So if you want a theme park view, don't go for like a fancy lagoon view, go for a standard view, standard room, Building 2.
If you want a theme park view, go in standard 2.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. It's a little bit like that O.J. Simpson rap. If the glove don't fit, you must acquit. Yeah. We didn't talk enough about the people versus O.J. Simpson, did we? On this?
No, we need to talk more about that.
Oh, we should do. Actually, don't. I've driven the wife crazy because we watched that because she loves John Travolta, so we had to watch it for that, and then obviously we got more obsessed with Ross from Friends saying Jews all the time. That's a bloody drinking game you don't want to play, let me tell you. Jesus.
Maybe we need to do an episode that's just a drinking game, watching people versus OJ.
Juice down it.
You can imagine it descend into chaos.
I've got BT Sport and ESPN, and they do these documentaries called 30 for 30. And they've done a 5-part O.J. Simpson documentary. They started working it. I think it's taken about 2 or 3 years. And so it was before they announced the comedy drama known as The People vs. O.J. Simpson. But it covers his career as a sports star. Obviously, that's where the interest first begins. Up to the trial and everything, and also post trial and what happened afterwards. It's about I think it's about 5 hours long in total, like 5 different episodes. Meant to be like brilliant, so I've got that to record. So I'm going to bore her with that one when we'll have a marathon session on that. I think it's good.
Did it mention that film that he was in with Enrico Palazzo? Hey, it's Enrico Palazzo.
was that 33 and a third, or was that 2?
Number 1.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I haven't watched those in quite. I think actually the last I watched Naked Gun trilogy was when Leslie Nielsen died. I had a bit of a marathon session. I watched Police Squad and then the Naked Gun films.
I miss him.
Yeah.
He die on a regular occasion though. Every year it seems to pop up that he's dead again.
And you know what? It's nothing I like more on Facebook than when some celebrities died. And you're like, I'm pretty sure they died 3 years ago. And you check the date of the story that they've just published. And you're like, yeah, they did die 3 years ago. What are you publishing that for?
It did come up on my feed, funny you should say, about 4 days ago, 4 or 5 days ago, that Michael Jackson had died. I'm like, hang on a minute. Hang on. Surely you know that one.
But we're not laughing at Michael Jackson's death, by the way. That was sad. But just the fact that these things have a habit of reappearing. Saying that, though, I mean, post Naked Gun, his career was a bit wishy-washy, wasn't it? Really. It
was, yeah.
Yeah, bit patchy that.
Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Spy Hard. At least that had a Weird Al Yankovic song at the beginning of it, so that gave it a bonus point. What else was there that he did? Remember Dracula?
Scary Movie, was he in those?
He was in 3. Yeah, he was in Scary Movie 3. Maybe the ones after that, but once the Wayans stopped making them, he was in them. What else? Mr. Magoo, of course. Which was a Disney movie.
Was it?
Of course, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was a Disney movie. Yeah. But yeah, not really the heights of Airplane or The Naked Gun or Police Squad. Shame.
So I know he's my man crush, but do you reckon Ty Burrell could be the next Leslie?
I was still thinking you were talking about Leslie Nielsen. He's got that vibe, hasn't he? I mean,
he just needs the white hair, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, actually, yeah. I think facially, like you can see a resemblance definitely, It was quite funny because I didn't know until like much later in life that Leslie Nielsen was a serious actor.
Yeah, he was in one of the first big Hollywood sci-fis, wasn't he?
Forbidden Planet, of course.
Is that like us being a serious podcast?
No.
No, we've never
been
been.
a serious podcast. And please stop calling us Shirley. Just shoehorn that in. But yeah, so I mean, and Ty Burrell's pretty much the same because until Modern Family, he hadn't really been known for comedy, had he really?
Well, I just watched Muppets Most Wanted,
and so you agree he's still not? I'm joking.
But he was brilliant in that film.
You know what? Because I don't think I ever talked about this completely, and if I did, it was too far ago now for people to remember. But I've not been able to bring myself to watch the Muppets Most Wanted again because I loved the first Muppets film so much, and everything was there was nothing that was giving me indication that it wasn't going to be as good as the first one. I thought the cameos seemed better. You had the same songwriter involved. You had Ty Burrell. You had everything going for it, but it just feels a bit flat, and I don't know. I can't work out why. I can't work out why it didn't feel as good as the first one. Because I mean, I like Jason Segel and I like Amy Adams, but I didn't think the Muppets are the stars, as far as I'm concerned. Everything else is a prop. That's how I view any kind of Muppet film. Any kind of actor that's with the Muppets is a prop. The Muppets are the stars, and so I don't know what it was, but it just didn't feel as good as the first one. I mean, I suppose the songs, I don't think I was as strong as the first film. Either.
I like the opening one. I thought all the others were rubbish.
Yeah, the sequel one, yeah. But yeah, none of the songs stood out for me. Like the first time I watched the Muppets, a lot of those songs stuck in my head, but I didn't get that with Muppets Most Wanted, and I've got it, and I will have to revisit it at some point. But yeah, I remember Ty Burrell being funny, and I remember there was a few things that made me laugh, but I just remember like feeling afterwards it was a bit of a missed opportunity, and I feel sorry as well for the director because that was his big debut.
Oh, was it?
For film, yeah, because I think it's off the top of my head, I'm sure it's James Bobin is his name.
Yeah.
And he did Flight of the Conchords. He did some of the Flight of the Conchords, and so that's I think that's how he kind of got the gig a little bit, was that he was kind of introduced by Brett. It was Brett that did the music, wasn't it? Out Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of his big break. And I think I mentioned before, I went to the Apple Talk where it was James Bobin and Ty Burrell talking about the Muppets just before it came out. And you could like the way he was talking about the Muppets was like this meant as much to him as it did to a Muppets fan. He was a Muppets fan, so he put his heart and soul into it. And so I felt bad when it didn't do very well. And then he went on to direct Alice Through the Looking Glass.
According to IMDb, he directed the first Muppets as well.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
For some reason I thought it was Nick Stoller.
No.
But he must have wrote that. I think Nick Stoller wrote it with Jason Segel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't feel quite so bad now.
Because he's down to direct Men in Black 23.
Ooh,
the crossover thing.
That's actually happening then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it's been announced. Yeah, it's definitely happening. That's going to be an odd one, isn't it? I really like those 21 movies or the 22 Jump Street films. They really make me laugh. In a time when a lot of Hollywood comedies leave me a bit flat, I think they're really good. I'm not a massive fan of Men in Black. The first one was good-ish.
You'll have the Malibis on the phone. You talk like that, I'll tell you.
I won't.
Yeah, well, that'll be what'll happen next, won't it? The rider get upgraded.
Oh, don't! I can feel him stirring now. You're going to get an email.
And the servants in the falls. Well, it's about time. Let's be honest, because Men in Black is now what, 16 years old, 17 years old.
It's about time they demolished it and put Secret Life of Pets on there. Then
I'd rather than put Jaws back, to be honest. Build Jaws there instead.
Yeah.
But
Swamp Thing was there originally, wasn't it?
Oh, was that what the Swamp Thing set was?
Yeah.
Hmm. They used to film that at one of the sound stages as well, didn't they? Because it's where they film TNA now.
Yes.
I think because there's a plaque if you get to the sound stage, there's a plaque that tells you what used to be filmed there.
So I've been watching Adam the Woo.
Woo!
Our
you
friend,
you guys recommended. And he actually did a video where he tried to sneak it to Nickelodeon.
Oh really? What's left of it?
What's left of it? Yeah.
Because I don't know how much of it is left.
Well, I was telling Logan because he used to work in there for Nickelodeon, and he reckons that most of it's all been stripped out now.
Yes. Yeah, I think they've even dug up the time capsule.
Yeah, that's moved to Hollywood.
Has he really?
Well, they moved it to that Nickelodeon hotel that was on the I-4, and then they had a falling out, so they've debranded. So there's no Nickelodeon at that hotel now. But they have built a new studio in Hollywood because they was renting the old studio they had there, and they put it in the new studio. So.
Yeah, I would love to have seen that. I think I'm sure the wife went and saw something being filmed there. I think she saw a game show.
I remember walking up on one of the big, I don't know if you call it the catwalk or whatever it was, and looking down through the glass, they had the set for Keenan and Kel. I remember that.
That's where I go and do my turns.
Oh.
Yeah, I do my little turns on the catwalk. Who
loves orange soda?
I put a screw in the tuner. There used to be a game show on Nickelodeon called Guts. And Guts had I always remember the name of it, and you shouldn't remember the name of it because it's such a weird name. It was called the Aggro Crag, and it was like a big foam mountain. It's the only way to kind of describe it, and you had to get up there the fastest, and it was like between, I think it was 2 or 3 people. It was like the final game, and I always remember that. I'd love to see that being filmed. I'd love to have been a contestant on it, but.
Hang on a minute, Amanda, you must have been in there.
You know what? Ash was in. They used to do a show in there where they get all kids involved and they'd get slimed and stuff.
Yeah.
Ash went and did that.
Ooh.
I was like, not one chance am I getting slimed. Ash will do it. So she went on that and she thought it was really fun. She was quite a tomboy when we were little, so she didn't mind doing stuff like that. But I was like, oh no, can't get slimed.
Slime Time Live.
But that was pretty fun to watch. I'm sure that I've got that on video as well, so I'll try and find it.
Yeah,
YouTube it.
That's what we want. Content.
Did she get like complimentary Nickelodeon T-shirts and stuff afterwards, or?
I don't remember. She didn't get like full on slimed. They had like these little bowls that they had to pass to each other like over their heads and like just in a line. And I think one person from each team got like full slimed. And I don't think she did.
It's quite sad actually, because as far as I know, when they decided to get rid of the Nickelodeon studios in Orlando, Florida, that the slime industry actually collapsed.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, I went to Crinkly Bottom.
You went there as well.
Yeah, and they did that there.
Yeah.
So you know now that's shut. Who's got the slime? It's all gone, isn't it?
It's got the slime. It's amazing. Yeah, I went to Crinkly Bottom. What a crap load of stuff that was.
God, it was terrible, wasn't it?
Oh man, I was talking on national radio. Somebody I know called Bruce was talking on a national radio station about Crinkly Bottom theme park recently on a phone in about Noel Edmonds, and yeah, actually, there's some. If you forget Adam the Woo, you can actually see videos of what's left of Crinkly Bottom on YouTube.
Isn't like Farthing Wood still there or something? Or Blobby's house.
Mr. Blobby's house is still there, but it's had a few parties, had a few house parties. To pardon the pun.
Needles and condoms left everywhere.
It's pretty tarnished, yeah. You wouldn't want to live there anymore. It's quite amazing. Actually.
Should we just explain to what everyone Crinkly Bottom is?
God no.
Look it up.
Do the bloody work.
Not a work.
It's about a big fat spotty man.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. My God, this show's been a bit random, isn't it? This is what happens, right? You've been running Universal After Dark. I've gone, go ahead, guys. You're all good. Go and run Universal After Dark. It'll be a much better show. You bring me into it, and look what happens. Chaos. That's it. The show will be cancelled next week. It's popular on demand. What else has been happening other than Nickelodeon shenanigans? We've had a ride opening, haven't we? It's been a busy time in Orlando recently because obviously not long ago we were talking about the new Frozen ride at Epcot.
Yeah.
That was a segue then. No, I wanted to pass the baton. So now we're going to talk about Kong. Kong of Skull. Is it called Kong of Skull Island? Or is it just called Skull Island?
I don't know what the actual official name is.
It's Skull Island,
Reign of Kong.
Reign of Kong. Very good, very good. Not anything to do yet with the Hollywood film that's coming out next year.
No.
Which makes no sense whatsoever.
It was meant to be, but that got delayed.
So now it's not.
Yeah, well, something to do with, I don't know, funding. No, it was to do with the production company. Didn't they move from Universal to Warner or something?
Oh, yeah, it's Legendary Pictures, isn't it? And the deal's fallen through. There's a lot of weird stuff going on at the moment with studios. Because, obviously, BFG just got released by Disney.
Yeah.
Which is DreamWorks. A DreamWorks
That's
film.
weird.
But, so that's what was happening. Then there's a film coming out in, I think, September, October of this year, called The Girl on a Train, which is based on a famous book, apparently. I mean, it's not that famous. I've not read it, and I've read your book, Chris, so you know.
Hey.
And I need the first version. I've got to read a new one. But that was a film that was going to be released by Touchstone, would you believe? I mean, how many films get released under Touchstone anymore? It's rare, isn't it? I can't remember the last time Touchstone released a film. But it was going to be a DreamWorks stroke Touchstone Pictures release. But that deal actually finished between Disney and DreamWorks with the BFG, and it's not been renewed, and hence it's now a Universal film. It's going to be the first part. It's going to be the first film in the DreamWorks Universal relationship.
Actually, talking of that, there's a bit of breaking news.
Chris, get your phone out.
Right.
We need the music.
Here we go. Dramatic pause. Longer dramatic pause. Bridge of Spies was the last film to be made by Touchstone.
What was it? Which that was DreamWorks as well, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. I thought it was a lot longer than that. Anyway, stop stalling. Where's your music?
Music? Oh, oh yeah, but it takes a while to load up.
Should we just go ahead?
Yeah, just go ahead.
I have the news.
Shrek 5's just been confirmed.
Hot diggity dog.
Really?
Yep, and it's being written by Edgar Wright and David Williams, apparently.
What?
Shut the front door.
As in mash and peas.
Yep.
That's his most famous character, obviously, Mash and Peas. Everyone remembers Mash and Peas. One half of Mash and Peas, obviously Matt Lucas is the other half of Mash and Peas. Wow.
Yeah, literally in the last 10 minutes or so.
What?
Well,
that is hot off the...
They have been talking about it for a while, haven't they? And let's be honest, as soon as we knew that Universal were getting their grubby mitts on DreamWorks, they want their money back. And what makes money? Well, Minions, obviously, but not in terms of DreamWorks. So what can they do? Yeah, Shrek. Well,
it's definitely going to be in the new theme park, then, won't it?
Long time coming. So what do you reckon the third gate's going to be?
Yeah, I told you it took a long time to load up, didn't I?
Jesus Christ! What's the opposite of breaking news? Because it's that. Hang on.
Now what are we doing?
What is going on right now?
God knows.
No, Warcraft has made nearly $500 million.
Well, we know that's going to be in the park now, don't we?
Yeah.
What's that? Game of Thrones is going to be the new gate?
Oh, yeah.
Is that the breaking news?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the other news, wasn't it?
Hashtag Kong Dong.
I don't even know where to go with that. Oh, Kong Dong, yeah. Yeah, So let's explain to our listeners what this is about.
Game of Thrones.
No, the Kong Dong.
Are we talking about Professor Plum again?
I thought that was the name of a giant hot dog.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yes.
Is that happening?
Yeah, they've been selling it before the ride was even open.
Blimey.
I mean, surely this is going to last longer than the poo that they were selling at Animal Kingdom last year, which was also inappropriate food items.
That's what you do once you've had a Kong Dong.
Oh, that's epic. Yeah, so Game of Thrones is going to be the third gate. We've decided. I mean, they've decided. Yeah, you've heard it here first. We're breaking it.
Yeah.
In the this is also the podcast that told you that Avatar Land was definitely not going to happen after Star Wars was built. And look, where's Avatar Land? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't tell me it's being built as we speak, because it's not open. That's the point. It's not open. So there you go. I was right. Yes. Well, Shrek. Yeah. Well, I suppose Mike Myers needs a new gold toilet or something.
Yeah, have you seen him recently though?
Yeah. Christ.
No, what's he look like?
Looks like Mr. Majuka.
He's aged really badly.
Really?
Yeah, he ain't be doing no more Austin Powers, that's for sure.
I have to Google this now.
Yeah. I know the last thing he did film-wise was a film called Supermouch. Supermouch.
Oh,
Anything's
wow.
got to be better than The Love Guru.
Well, it was a documentary, so there was no chance of it not being worse than the Love Guru.
He was in a Steven Spielberg movie, wasn't he?
Was he?
Wasn't he in that war film?
It's not what you mean, Inglourious Bastards.
No, not that. It was George Lucas and Steven Spielberg.
Red Tails?
Yeah, I think he was in that.
Woohoo! It's oh, I see what you mean. You know what? He's not. It's not that he's aged. It's just he's got a bit tubby and he's got white hair.
He just stopped dyeing his hair and started eating Kong Dongs.
That's right. That's right. I thought there was a picture of him there with John Lasseter, but that's really insulting to John Lasseter. It's definitely not. You know what? There's a picture of him here with black rimmed glasses. He's got a touch of the Steve Martin about him.
Yeah.
Yes. But he was in Inglourious Bastards. Let's not forget that.
No.
Actually, funny enough, after saying that, there is a picture of them that someone's put together of Mike Myers and Steve Martin. The resemblance is quite uncanny. Yes. Oh, well, I suppose it makes sense when I was Shrek film, because I mean, has anyone seen? I don't know if they've advertised it, up north past the M25, but there's a thing in London now called the Shrek Experience.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've seen it advertised.
And
Yeah.
I've got to be honest, like, I was kind of thinking to myself, because the last Shrek film was 2010, I think.
Yeah.
I think Shrek Forever After came out then, which I've still never watched, because I didn't forgive him for the third one. Yeah, so they open up an attraction to at the very least a 5-year-old film where there's been no other things about Shrek afterwards, and you have to think, like, how much life has it got left in it in terms of, like, it being relevant. So it's perfect, isn't it, to make a new Shrek film?
Well, the thing is, that one of the people I interviewed for the Halloween Horror Nights book, he now works at Nickelodeon in Florida. They've still got an office in Orlando, can you believe? And his job is literally to go around the world and try and do deals where they can use the Nickelodeon brand for whatever, hotels or drinks or food or toys or whatever. Just going around trying to license it everywhere. So I assume DreamWorks must have some big licensing department who are just trying to flog a dead horse until someone buys it. Because it's very weird, isn't it, that a film that's that old is being put into this quite expensive new installation over by the Millennium Wheel.
True. Oh, because they're opening one in Orlando, aren't they, as well, I think?
Are they?
Are they? Or maybe not.
I think that in the original plans for iDrive 360, they'd said that there was going to be something like that there, but then it just didn't happen.
Oh, Universal surely wouldn't let them, would they?
I guess maybe that's what didn't happen. I don't know.
It's within throwing distance. I doubt it very much. Maybe Universal had plans to take Shrek out at the time.
Maybe.
That would, you know what, that would work so well if you think about it, because I mean, a lot of the iDrive stuff, the iDrive 360s, has got Merlin's involvement, hasn't it? Who is running this Shrek experience. So, can you imagine if they did a deal with them? They said, right, you can pay us this much money, and we'll give you the Shrek 4D film. You can now have that, and then that gives them a whole ride, doesn't it, for them to do something new with?
Exactly. I mean, I don't know if it was like official plans that's what they were going to do. I don't know whether people were just like talking about it, but I definitely heard it.
Well, if you've been reading hhnunofficial.com, you'll know that half of the Shrek Theatre in the studios is going to be shut from next week to build one of the Halloween Horror Nights houses.
Ew.
So they're already, last year was the first year, but they're already shutting off sections of that to do other things. So it can't be that popular.
No. You know what I think it is that makes that queue like seem big a lot of the time? The pre-show's just long.
Yeah.
It's just really long.
Oh, I've got some Universal related news. Well, Halloween Horror Nights related news.
Oh, here we go. Shoehorning in his own stuff.
We haven't spoke about it on Scare Zone or any other podcast, so
Exclusive.
this is exclusive.
Quick, do the breaking news jingle, and in about 5 minutes' time you can tell it.
Yeah, I'll load the iPhone up now. Yeah, behind Men in Black, they're building something for Halloween Horror Nights. But it's something they've never done before, and nobody knows quite what. It looks a bit like a wedding marquee, but it's got this weird kind of like maze, literally like a maze made out of timber built on the back of it. Sort of zigzags backwards and forwards.
And no one knows what it could be.
Nobody knows. There's nothing on the plans. Nobody can get hold of the permits. So nobody has a Scooby-Doo. Who's also rumoured to be in the new Universal Park.
What?
Huh?
That obviously wasn't an impression of Scooby-Doo. That was an impression of the intro to Home Improvement starring Tim Allen.
Tim the Tall Man Taylor.
That's right.
So Amanda, come on, you must know. What is it? What are they building there?
A house called Amanda's house.
Oh. See, with your makeup, I reckon you could stand in for Chance when she's, in disguise.
I'd love it. Oh, guys, wait till you see what I'm doing for my next video. Is it just gonna die?
Well, I hope not literally, otherwise...
Literally, or...
Welcome to the Love Outside me, Amanda, and no one else.
Making snuff films.
No.
Are you going to dress up as Bloody Mary or Lady Luck or
No.
the storyteller?
No.
Brian
Rat
Bradford.
Lady.
No. You're gonna have to just wait to see, cause
My mum.
Who was the
Nick.
who was the makeup of Jack on your feed?
that is my brother.
Oh.
Yeah, Ash just uses us all to put makeup on.
I tell you what, if all three of you were made up looking like Halloween Horror Nights characters, I tell you three would win any Halloween costume contest going.
Oh, I think we should do it.
Seriously.
You
I
should
think we
do
should
it.
just turn up at Halloween Horror Nights this year dressed
No,
up.
no,
as
no,
Alex.
No. You know we're doing the Halloween Horror Nights meet. We should do a Mickey's Not So Scary meet.
Yeah, Mickey's Not So Scary. Do it there.
Because last year I went, as you know, as Beetlejuice, but it turned out Logan, he went last year as Beetlejuice as well.
Oh, I went as Esmeralda, and then kids thought I was Snow White. And I was not happy.
Could you imagine, right? So you went last year as Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
And Logan went last year as Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
If just one more person went as Beetlejuice, what would have happened?
All hell would have broken.
Yeah, with the castle had turned like white and black stripe.
We would have rode the sandworm
So
through
it
the
would come
gates.
out. Little known fact. Well, I think it's little known. I could be completely wrong, but you actually see Jack Skellington in Beetlejuice
Oh.
in the miniature.
Oh.
I can't remember where now because I've not watched it in a about 6-7 years. But yeah, you only see him for like a brief bit. But you know, like the little model village, model town they've got where they're showing what they're going to be building there, and you see him there.
I have never ever seen that in Beetlejuice, and I watch Beetlejuice like all the time.
I'm sure, to be honest, you don't even have to watch Beetlejuice. You just have to Google it, and someone will take a screen grab of it. It'll save you some
I'm
time.
gonna Google it right now.
But yeah,
We should all go as Beetlejuice characters, and then we should do like one of those flash dances and do stop in the line, everybody. Okay, I believe you. You know.
Oh my god, I would love that.
I would love to go as a shrunken head man. I don't know how you do that as a costume, but I'd love to do that.
I should be able to figure that out.
I do you remember, like, so because we're all of a kind of similar age. Well, we're all of a kind of similar age, but somebody happens to be a bit younger than the rest of us.
Don't forget it.
Well, don't worry, you don't let us forget it. But do you remember, like, when you go and look at toys now, right? Now, I mean, I probably would have done this if I didn't have kids, because I'm a bit of a weirdo, and I don't play with toys, but I do still like buying toys, and like going into like a Toys R Us or an equivalent, and like seeing toys for different properties. Now, nearly every film, from when I was born to, like, probably about 6-7 years ago, every major Hollywood film had a toy line. It seemed.
Definitely.
And I remember, like, in the late 80s and the early 90s, we had like toy lines for Beetlejuice.
Yes,
Now, there was
I
a
had one.
cartoon. There was a cartoon for Beetlejuice,
Yeah.
but the figures were from the film.
I
They
had the
weren't from the
black and
cartoon.
white striped one
Okay, so you had the
because his head came off.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because a few of them did. Because I had Beetlejuice in a purple tux.
Oh, the wedding suit. Yeah,
That's right.
I remember
and
that one.
His head span. That was the feature, was the head span round. But if you pulled the head off, it was when he had his little shrunken head underneath it. But I mean, I know they had Adam's figure. I think his head slid down his arm or something.
The rich kid up the road, he had the Beetlejuice car.
I didn't have the car, but I had, and again, this is how macabre this all was. I had the Beetlejuice crypt.
Ooh.
Right. And
I feel like I need all these toys.
Oh, I know.
You could probably buy them cheap on eBay, actually. It wouldn't surprise me.
Is this the one where you pull it out and you can make him vanish?
Yep. Oh, what it was, you put him in, and it worked best with your one. So I only had the wedding suit, so it didn't work with my one.
Yeah.
But what would happen is you'd put him in, close it, pull it back, and he would disappear. The figure would disappear, but you'd have a little Beetlejuice that was like about 2 inches high.
Oh, what?
And it was the white and black suit version of Beetlejuice. So if you had the right figure, it actually looked like you shrunk the figure. It was very clever.
Love that.
Yeah. I had as well Bill and Ted action figures.
What?
Yeah.
Didn't know they made them.
Well, most people don't, right? And this is brilliant, right? So I remember reading a magazine. Oh God, this has gone so off tangent, but I don't care. This is the fun part. This is the fun stuff now. So I remember my dad used to buy a magazine when I was a kid, and I think it was called like Model Collectors or something. And they used to have adverts in there for like mail order places, because before the internet, so you had to buy things, you had to send money in the post, and people send stuff to you. And there was this place that used to deal with American imports, just American imports, and they had listed Bill and Ted Wild Stallions gift set, and I think it was about 35 quid, and we're talking about 91 now, I think 92. So it's a fair chunk of change when you're like a 10-year-old, and like I had no idea what they were, and I had no way of finding out because there wasn't an internet to look it up. So I knew they existed, but I knew nothing about them, and I really wanted them, but my dad would not give me the money. Now that's not the reason we don't talk anymore, by the way. Roll up. No. I wish it was only that. Roll up about, it must have been 1999, maybe 2000, and I'm at a toy fair in Birmingham. Not the toy fairs you get at the beginning of the year where they show you all the toys that are coming out. One where you could go and buy toys. You just have people sell it with stalls and stuff, selling toys. And I was looking at a store at I think some wrestling figures or something, and then on the back wall there were these two Bill and Ted action figures. It was the Wild Stallion gift set. And I think it was like about 30 quid. And I was like, I'll just take it. I had no idea what it was. I could see the figures. That's all I could see. And I bought them. And again, they were based on the film. Really, mainly on the first film rather than the second film. But there were some characters in the second film they did figures of as well. They did a Grim Reaper figure as well in the series. But it had the most interesting action gimmick I've ever seen. And at the same time, as though it's the most impressive, it's also the most dated, right? So Bill and Ted came with guitars, and if you squeeze their legs together, their arms moved like they were playing the guitar.
What?
Right. So you put the guitar in like in the left hand, so it's resting in the left hand, and you squeeze the legs, and the right arm would kind of go up and down in a strumming motion, right? These figures came with leads. These leads would plug into your Walkman. You got a cassette. You put the cassette in the Walkman, you press play. You hear nothing, right? As soon as you squeeze one of their legs, you hear their instrument.
What?
Yeah.
How does that work?
I've got no idea. Magic. Absolute magic. Now, the tape had a couple of tracks, and it told you what instruments were on those tracks. So it wouldn't work with like everything. So like the first track on a cassette, it was 2 guitars. So you could squeeze both the legs and you'd hear both of them play guitar, for example, right? And then you had Billy the Kid, you had Abraham Lincoln. I think they did the Maidens as well. I might have been making it up. I'm sure I saw it on a package of the box, but sometimes these things I didn't actually make them. But they definitely made more than just Bill and Ted, because about 5 years ago, I went into a shop in London and they had Abraham Lincoln for £10 in the packaging. So I bought it. Yeah. And I think he played the drums or something, but I never opened it, so I don't know. And yeah, it just, again, another random toy line. But of course, I mean, the thing is, like, it's dated. It's such a good gimmick, and you never think of doing something now, and you couldn't do something like that now because no one has anything that plays the bloody cassette. Which, of course, did not stop me buying the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack on cassette when they released that. Because
you can't listen to it, but you do buy it.
Well, we'll just have to go and buy an old car.
Buy an old car, or buy a brand new transit van.
Or buy a new transit van, of course. But so there was a Bill and Ted toy line, and I recommend anyone that's interested go and Google it because the toy line was fantastic. But we also had toy lines for stuff like Aliens.
Yes.
And do you remember RoboCop?
Yes.
And going back to what you were talking about earlier, right? And this I found fascinating, but other people might find boring. But Swamp Thing, right?
Yes.
Now Swamp Thing was a DC comic, and then it was a live action film, couple of live action films, and then they did the live action TV series, which is what the set was at Universal Studios, wasn't it?
Mm.
It was what they used. I think it was the first production they filmed at Universal Studios in Florida. But they also did a cartoon of Swamp Thing.
Mm.
Now, I remember this being shown in the early 90s over here on the Children's Channel, right? But they only made 6 episodes.
Wow.
But I could have sworn I saw like 20 different episodes. It's amazing what you forget when you're a child. But apparently, so they made a toy line for Swamp Thing. A series that lasted 6 episodes got a toy line.
Wow.
And apparently, Kenner invested $2.5 million into developing Swamp Thing action figures because they thought it was going to be like the next big thing. And the toys were cool. But
well, the funny thing was, people love Marvel now, but during the 80s and 90s, it was like a renaissance for Marvel action figures because they just used to do everything and anything. And I remember being, funny enough, at Universal, and I remember I was too young to ride Kong. Like the old Kong. My parents were on Kong. We were standing outside with my nan. And literally this massive Marvel show just happened all around us.
Wow.
You had like Spider-Man climbing down the facade, and then Captain America showed up, and then there was Wolverine beating someone up. So it was like the show just happened like all around you, all at once. They probably for health and safety, they'd never do it again. But I remember that the Ghostbusters show had shut down, and where the gift shop is at the moment, or was at the time, before it was demolished or whatever they're doing to it now, they moved all the Ghostbusters stuff out and they just filled it with Marvel. And that toy shop, literally, it had every single Marvel action figure that you could possibly buy. I mean, they had everything and anything. And I remember going in there and actually getting a Green Goblin action figure because I could just never find Green Goblin anywhere.
Yeah. Again, it's funny you say that because I remember some of the first action figures I ever remember having. I mean, I think everyone had He-Man and Thundercats.
Yes.
But I had Marvel Secret Wars.
Oh.
The Marvel Secret Wars, the gimmick with those is that they all came with like a disc, like a plastic disc, and you could insert like a cartoon picture in it. And when you move the disc, it animated. Only like very slight animation, like a couple of frames. But like when you can move like an image and it slightly moves. And they did those. And I remember having a Captain America, and he had a turbo cycle, which was a bike with a sidecar. And at the same time, they had Marvel Secret Wars. DC come out with Super Friends, and I had a few of those as well. And then I don't remember there being much in the way of superheroes until Batman. The Batman film came out. And when the Batman film came out, the toy, because Secret Wars, I think, was Kenner, and then Toy Biz picked up the Marvel license. They did the Batman film, and then they had, can you believe this, one toy company had both Marvel and DC at the same time.
Wow.
They're making figures for both sets. But eventually, I think DC kind of fell out of favour, and they concentrated on Marvel. And like you say, like they did in the 90s, you could get every Marvel character you could think of, and about 100 different Wolverines.
Well, I'm just looking at Secret Wars now. I remember these.
Yeah.
I remember these vividly. I mean, I didn't know it was called Secret Wars, but I remember having the Dr. Octopus and the Spider-Man and Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
It says they're actually going to release the Guardians of the Galaxy Secret Wars 30 years later.
Really?
So it says on here, yeah.
I'd say that for $1. It won't be $1, probably about 150 quid now. Cost toys on now.
God, I remember knackering that Spider-Man I had.
I think my Spider, I'm sure the first series of Toy Biz ones that were Marvel were just called Marvel Superheroes. And the Spider-Man I had, going back, talk about going around in the circle, was from Forbidden Planet in London.
Wow.
When they only used to have a couple of shops. Now they've got loads of shops. And I bought it the same day I bought some Swamp Thing toys. I remember that much. And the Spider-Man had suction cups so he could stick to walls. And I think it took me about a week to break his arm. And it was the first toy I ever broke. I don't think I've ever broken a toy since or before. That was the first toy I ever broke.
Released in 1984.
Secret Wars, yeah.
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 So I don't think you were a boy in the 80s unless you owned at least one Spider-Man.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, you didn't even have to be into superheroes.
Yeah.
That was the thing. You just ended up with someone would buy you a superhero toy. It'd be like
and those DC ones as well.
Yeah.
With the
DC
Joker.
Super Friends. Yeah, is that the one with the Joker with the hammer, the long hammer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that.
How many did you have, Paul? Come on.
Oh, God knows. Just listening to what you're saying, I know I had the Batman film ones. I had the Batmobile.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the Batman film series? What cracked me up the most? If I remember correctly, there were 3 figures. There was Batman that had the yellow belt that you could pull out.
Yeah.
The idea was that you hooked it around something and he would climb up because the string would just go back in. You had the Joker, who had a flower that squirted water.
Yes.
And he had his hat on. And then, possibly, the greatest action figure of all time, Bob the Joker's goon.
Yes, random bad guy.
Bob.
Yeah,
right,
Bob.
And not only that, right, and the strange thing is as well, they reused the figure, because this was another thing they did at the time a lot, they reused the mould for another figure. So they actually reused Bob the Joker's goon for Lex Luthor. right? Well, it might have been the other way round. The action feature for Bob the Joker's Goon and Lex Luthor, or Lex Luthor, I think they called it the Kryptonite Punch, but I think they just called it like Goon Punch Action or something like that, right? And what it was, Bob's right arm would be the one that punched, and his arm would be down by his chest, and you'd flick the button on his back, and his arm would go straight up, right? But you've got to remember his arm is bent at a 90-degree angle. So his punch was essentially him fisting his head. That's the only way I can describe it, and I know it's a lot cruder than it actually is. But literally, he punched himself in the head, and Lex Luthor did the exact same thing. It was the stupidest action feature I've ever seen in anything.
It's a good job they didn't do a Deadpool action figure. He probably would be fisting.
And yet, at that time, when you was buying your Green Goblin figure, there was a Deadpool out.
It probably was,
I guarantee that Toy Biz toy line, because that Marvel series lasted. It was all based around X-Men, but they featured everything into it as well, and lasted for about 10 years. From like 92, so they had everything.
The funniest toy line, right, and it is hilarious, and I did buy a few of them, was Star Trek: The Next Generation, because they all wear similar uniforms, don't they?
Yeah.
And they're all right. Some are like mauve, and some are like a mustard color, whatever. But literally, all they just used to do with those Star Trek figures is just change the heads on them.
Yep. 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 I remember.
So every man would have the same torso. Every woman would have the same figure. And just change the heads on them.
I actually had. I remember getting the first ever Star Trek: The Next Generation action figures, and they were the size of G.I. Joes or Action Force figures.
All right.
And they came out at this. It must have been like the first or second season of the show. So it was very early on in the run, and when it wasn't very popular. And each figure had a phaser in the hand, but because it was so small, it was glued to the hand.
Oh.
So they were like really crap, really basic action figures. And I remember having them Picard.
They're worth a fortune now.
Probably are. Yeah, I've probably got a load of toys that I have no access to because I don't talk to my parents that sat in their loft worth a mint that I've got all loose. I just
wow, you've got a fortune on eBay there.
Yeah, but see, it's not mint on card, is it? That's what everyone wants. Mint on cards. Mint on card. I reckon it's still worth a small fortune. I got told off last year for I walked past a charity shop and there was a kid going for a bag of toys and going, "Oh, what's all this crap, Dad?" And he walked away from it. And when I had looked inside, it was loads of old Ghostbuster toys.
No,
I had them.
Original Ghostbuster toys, and with proton packs and everything. And I said, "Oh, how much is that?" And the bloke said, "Oh, you can have that bag for like £2." I was like, "Oh, I can give you more than that, surely." He's like, "No, £2's fine." And then they had Ecto-1.
No.
Yeah. So I said, like, so how much can I? Because I had that. I had Ecto-1, and I had the figures, and I had the Firehouse.
Yes,
I've still
the
got
Firehouse.
them. I've still got them up in
slime.
the loft. With
slime.
Oh, we bring it all back. Oh, we're like S Club 7. Bring it all back to you. And yeah, £5 got me an Ecto-1 and a load of monsters and Ghostbuster figures. It was brilliant. She wouldn't let me keep them. I've still got them. She just doesn't know where they are. There's a tip, kids and adults. If you wanna keep your toys when your family or your wife or your boyfriend or whoever doesn't want you to have them anymore, just hide them when they don't know where they are. Then they can't complain about them anymore. Yeah,
the thing is, there was a lot of slime back in our day, wasn't there?
Yeah, and there's probably a reason why we don't have it anymore. It's probably really toxic.
Is this why everyone's got food intolerances and gets run over by cars playing Pokemon Go? It's because we were exposed to slime at a young age.
Well, yeah, but you can't afford to buy toys anymore.
Really?
Well, I mean, I remember going into like the toy shop and going, "Oh, like, can I have a new He-Man figure?" Yeah, how much is that? £3.50. Brilliant. Or getting like Star Wars figures when they were trying to get rid of them for like £1. I mean, Jesus, if I kept all those ones that I bought for £1 in their packaging, I would be worth a fortune now. And to bloody play with them. That's not what you do with toys. I found out since. But now, if I want to go and buy, we've been buying Disney princess toys for my daughter,
Mhm.
and they look a little bit like Weebles. They're that kind of size. They're not Weebles. They don't wobble and they don't fall down, but they're that kind of cute version of Disney characters. And we was looking at a set in Toys R Us the other day that was Belle and I don't know, Mrs. Potts and Lumiere and Cogsworth, I think, were the other three characters, and that was $12.99
Wow.
for 4 little toys. Wrestling figures, when I used to buy wrestling figures, they used to cost me £3.50, £4. Now, the cheapest ones are a tenner for the basic ones. For the decent deluxe ones, you're looking at 20 quid.
Crikey.
Yeah,
That's inflation for you.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why the Marvel figures have gone from the big ones we used to have when we was kids to the really small ones now,
Yeah.
because they're so much cheaper to make. I bought all the Guardians of the Galaxy toys for my son for when he's a bit older, and I think I paid £3 for a 2-pack, like when they started clearing them out. But before it was like 7-8 quid for two little figures.
I remember
It's
when I was
business.
about 4 or 5 years old, and we had a day out down at Dymchurch. I don't know if you ever been.
Yeah. Dymchurch. I'm going there next
Dymchurch.
week.
Yeah, do loop-de-loop over Dymchurch like Del Boy did. And I remember being only very young, and we walked into this shop. It was like a bric-a-brac, sort of sold everything and anything, like shovels and spades and buckets and stuff. All the sort of random beach stuff. And I remember there being a mint on card Darth Vader from the 1970s for £2.
Oh my god.
I remember buying it for £2, ripping it open and playing with it for the rest of the holiday. If only I had not ripped that card.
I remember buying, under similar circumstances, I remember buying a Yoda for like £1.50 and doing the same thing, mint on card. As soon as I got out of the shop, ripped it open and started playing with it when I got home. Still got it complete somewhere, but
What do you reckon they're worth now?
I was reading a thing the other day. I think some of the more rarer ones, if you've got one of the 10 in existent Boba Fett's that fires a missile, it's worth about 15 grand.
Jesus.
What?
Yeah. Some of the early Star Wars figures are worth early thousands.
Wow.
Yeah, depending on condition. Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, we were talking about keys at Sapphire Falls.
You've been listening to Toys After Dark.
Yeah, pretty much.
Was there anything else? We talked about Kong briefly because everyone talks about Kong. And Sapphire Falls, but and obviously Shrek now, which has been announced. But was there anything else that we needed to get off our Universal chest?
Is Hulk open?
No, not yet. I've heard that it could open next week.
Sorry, what was that?
Or maybe like the end of this week.
It was what open?
The Hulk.
You know what I heard? Because you went, "Is Hulk open?" I heard Hulk Hogan. I was like,
Hulk Hogan?
What's he got to do with it?
Well, it's basically this ride you get on. You get a load of like slurs about Jewish people,
And then you get $100 million in damages.
You do, yeah. It's amazing.
I've got to be honest. I'm really impressed with the new look cars.
It looks awesome.
And also the statue outside.
Yes.
It doesn't scream. We've talked before on various podcasts that we do about the fact that the Hulk, the whole Marvel thing, like how long was it going to last? Were they going to try and pull it out because of the Disney thing and all this kind of stuff? But putting that much effort into the Hulk, that surely means they're looking to keep it for a good while.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But
definitely.
Do we not think, with that in mind, they really should look at the rest of the land?
I heard rumours today that Doom's going.
Oh, what?
That's good. That's fine. I'm completely happy with that.
No.
Rubbish. I mean, they can also get rid of Storm while they're at it. But what would they replace it with? They can't replace it with Guardians of the Galaxy. That's being done down the road. Allegedly.
The thing is, they've got no other rides other than Spider-Man and Hulk. None of the rides are themed to any of the big names, are they?
Well, we just said Storm's Accelerator, whatever it's called. Storm is like everyone's 13th favourite X-Man. Or X-Woman.
I doubt Disney would allow Universal to put a new ride in. Refurb, maybe, but...
Well, they can't stop them putting a new ride in. It's what they theme it to. So I'm sure there's nothing to stop them doing, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously that ride doesn't take up much space, much land, does it? It's a very small ride, really, in terms of footprint.
Wait, which one, Storm or Doctor Doom?
Doctor Doom.
All right.
Because obviously it's a vertical ride, so it doesn't take up much space. Now, I don't know what's behind Doom. I don't know if they've got room to actually expand that area at all.
Isn't it a staff car park or something behind it?
Yeah,
well, then
it's like nothingness.
Nothingness. No.
So
Yeah.
technically, as long as they own the land, which I'm sure they must own that part of the land, there's nothing to stop them building back and creating something new. Now, just for argument's sake, if they want, they won't do, because there's no point creating one, but if they wanted to create another outside coaster, if they've already got the rights to use Doom, I'm sure there's nothing to stop them using that. I mean, to be honest, from what I understand, the Marvel contract was a right doozy. So they can pretty much do what they want forever, however long they want.
Well, the thing is, I would imagine that Disney must sign off on it, like approve it. So they could, in theory, just kick it into the long grass, couldn't they?
I don't know if they have to. That's the thing. Because the thing is, with any kind of takeover or anything, any existing contracts must be honoured. And Marvel was so desperate at the time for the money, they just said to Universal, "Knock yourselves out, kids." And have given them kind of carte blanche to do whatever the hell they want. So I don't think Disney would necessarily have to. I mean, they might do. You could be right. It could. The contract might state that existing properties at the time, that have been agreed upon, whatever it is. But
what about if Universal was to say, right, well, let us refurb Hulk, let us put a new ride in where Doom is, and in return, you can put Guardians in Epcot. Because Guardians is a grey area, and you would need to define that contractually.
Is it a grey area? Because I don't know if it gave them full use of the entire Marvel universe.
It didn't.
So it's only certain things.
Well, the definition is it's characters from a select list of properties. The properties are X-Men, Spider-Man, Avengers, blah, blah, blah.
It's the big ones, yeah.
Yeah, so where it gets interesting is Guardians is not part of Avengers. No. I mean, stop me if I'm wrong at the moment, Paul, but it will possibly be in the future with the film franchise.
But I don't think they're classed as core Avengers members. So it's the ones that you would count like Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, the core Avengers members, rather than ones that come in and out.
The periphery ones.
Yeah, because I mean, I wouldn't consider Spider-Man to be an Avenger, even though he's been an Avenger.
No.
Well, he's got his own bracket on the contract, Spider-Man.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I don't think they have to worry about that at all. Now, where it becomes interesting is how that contract is worded, because the whole gimmick and the reason why they've been able to do stuff with Thor and Captain America at Disneyland is that they were allowed to use the Marvel license east of the river. Or I think that's the direction it was in. So, and hence, Hollywood never had the Marvel stuff, never had the Marvel attractions.
That's right.
For argument's sake. And Disneyland can have those meet and greets. So I don't know if the contract, although it may not affect the characters, Disney still may not actually be able to use the license on characters they do own because it's a Marvel ride.
They did tempt fate a bit when they put Star-Lord into an event at MGM, didn't they?
Yeah, they put Star-Lord and Gamora into, was it a DVC event?
It was Villains Unleashed or Tonight or whatever it's called.
Muppets Tonight.
But it was just a one-off event, but they did have them there. But they didn't call them Star-Lord and Gamora. They just said characters from a recent film.
What I heard was that then they're going to have, if they do put a ride in it, it will just be Guardians of the Galaxy. They can't say Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, that's the same with Run Disney, isn't it? They can't say because Marvel, that Marvel contract includes theme parks across the United States for using the word Marvel, whereas the characters are only, as you said, east of the Mississippi. That's why it's not Marvel's Avengers, Run Disney, blah blah blah.
Originally, it was.
Was it?
For the,
Do you think they
for
got
the
in
first
trouble?
one, and they've changed it this year. It's now the superhero half marathon.
Wow.
Oh, it's petty, isn't it?
Same as they're not allowed to use Tony Stark at Run Disney.
Really?
Yeah, because of the Iron Man trademark.
Oh, of course, the Iron Man.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, this is why, like, I think Disney struck out a lot with Guardians of the Galaxy being as big a hit as it was. Because it was the first time they had a really successful film they could actually potentially do something with.
Yeah.
Because before that, it was Avengers, it was Captain America, it was Thor, it was Iron Man, to a lesser degree the Hulk. It was all these films they couldn't actually develop something for afterwards, which is why they're trying to get the Iron Man experience in Hong Kong.
People were going mad in Disneyland over putting Guardians in Tower of Terror. And their Tower of Terror is rubbish compared to our one in Florida.
Yeah. And that seems like that's been confirmed this week.
Definitely looks that way, yeah.
Like, how would that work?
Well, the rumour, as Adele would sing if she was here, but she's not, is that it would be based around the Collector.
Yeah.
Now, you watch, let's be honest, right? You watch Guardians of the Galaxy, Chris Pratt's funny, Batista's funny, surprisingly, Rocket and Groot are great, Gamora's fine. Let's focus our efforts on the Collector. That
He
really
is rumored to be coming back though.
Yeah, oh no, like I've heard that as well. But one of the least interesting bits of that film. But I think what they would be theming it around, the thing is, a lot of ideas sound crap on paper, don't they? But you don't understand the vision they've got behind them. So I'm sure it would still be a good concept. But the idea, as I understand it, is that you would be travelling in the lift the different floors of the Collector's Museum. So you'll be seeing all of these things that he's got hold of.
As long as Howard Duck's in that, then
Howard the Duck.
well, this is it though. Can he? Is he tied up with a Universal deal?
Nah.
It's interesting. Well, the first film was made by Disney, wasn't it?
If I was Universal, I'd have asked for Howard Duck to be taken out of that contract. Bearing in mind all they had at the time was that film. I don't think it was. I know George Lucas had a helping hand in it, but I don't think it was Touchstone. Maybe it was. It's very weird if you haven't seen it. Either way. But yeah, and I mean, Howard Duck is supposed to be back in Guardians 2 from what I've heard. So that would make sense. But yeah,
Ellen's Energy Adventure is the rumoured location in Epcot, isn't it?
I feel like it's a different room every single week.
Well, this is the one that they said there was some those balloons that they put up to show how tall things are.
Yeah, they were doing that earlier this week.
Yeah, right behind it, supposedly. But it's got. I mean, I've never done Ellen's Energy Adventure. Supposedly, the animatronic's so old, it was when she was heterosexual.
Yeah, it probably was actually. Probably was. I don't remember the animatronic. I do remember falling asleep during it because it's bloody long.
Come on, Amanda, you must have been in there.
Not for a long time. There's dinosaurs in it, isn't there?
Well, as we said, the animatronic is pretty old.
Stop being horrible about Ellen.
No. We're not being horrible about Ellen. We're being horrible about Ellen's animatronic. There's a big difference. One is real, the other one's old.
Thing is, Ellen in America now, she is like the unofficial president, isn't she? She's like so. Everybody, even people over here, really, really love Ellen.
Yeah, if she was running for president, I'd tell people to vote for her.
It'd be no worse than who we've got running for president at the moment. Let's be honest. It's quite funny actually, Vanna, isn't it? Because there was a time, well, after she came out, and she was one of the first major kind of. She had a big show at the time, didn't she?
Hmm.
I can't remember what it was called, but she had a big show at the time, and it was called Ellen. By the way, that's a joke. You know, after she came out, and it was obviously a big story when she came out. Like her show got cancelled not long afterwards because it kind of got boycotted by Christian groups and you know, this thing for being a bit immoral, and she disappeared for quite a while.
Mm.
And then she started, you know, obviously did things here and there, but she'd gone from having like a major sitcom to kind of nothing. And then I suppose it was around about the time of Finding Dory, she kind of got her footing back again. I think that might be when her talk show first started, around that time. And like you say, she's now like a national treasure, and you know, she always comes across well. And so I'm glad that she's done all right for herself. You know, glad it's worked out for her. And now, of course, she's a star of the biggest animated film in American history.
I can't believe that.
It's not even open here yet.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
I don't know. Finding Nemo is one of those films that still holds up and is still popular with kids. And kind of like, if you think about the Shrek thing, you know, there's been a Finding Nemo attraction ever since the film came out. 2 Finding Nemo attractions in Disney World. And so I think it's always been kind of kept relevant. So, but apparently the film's good, so we'll see. We'll see when it comes out.
I get a lot of going back to what you were just saying. I get a lot of things in my feed about the U.S. presidential election. People ask me to comment, and I never comment. But every time people talk about it on my feed, it does remind me of that South Park episode. You know the one I mean?
No, what the one? No, because I'm just all I can think about at the moment is the one with the Family Guy when they write Family Guy episodes with manatees.
No, the one where they have to vote for class president. It's between a giant douche or a turd sandwich.
Oh, I do love South Park. Right. Is there anything more universal that we want to talk about before we wrap up?
No.
I don't think so.
But
Well,
I
there
guess
was-
what we're going to do today, we'll do next time.
I just remember what that is.
Yeah.
This is
An hour and a half later.
Amanda's so polite. She's been
P.S.
trying
It
to
had
get...
nothing to do with toy ears.
Well, see, that's what we like about this show. You listen to our rivals. They set their cards out on the table. We're going to talk about this, and that's that. Look at us.
We let it flow.
People tonight, you know what? If there's one thing that people will take away from this episode, it was the fact Bill and Ted action figures existed and no one knew about them.
I'll tell you what, there's going to be a run on eBay now, thanks to you.
Yeah, we need to get to the next toy fair quick.
All right. Everyone's homework on this podcast this week is to watch Mission Impossible 1 and Oceans 11 through to 13. You can skip 1 to 9, and 10's not very good either. It's just 11, 12, and 13. And what we're going to do is figure out how we can break into my parents' loft to steal my toys so we can sell them for profit.
Okay, deal.
Good game, everyone. Well, thank you for listening to. I don't even know what this show is about anymore. I've been Nick. I probably won't be asked back to do this again. It's been a blast, so thank you. If you want to contact us, Mr. Washington, how can they now contact us?
Yep, you can contact us at our new email address, which is disafterdark@gmail.com.
Now, it is disafterdark@gmail.com, but this is Universal After Dark. Please use the same address. There's no need to complicate things. Just the one address will do. If you want to have a go at me for saying bagels rather than bagels and how that annoys me. If you want to pick up Mr. Ripley's curried goat or goat curry argument.
What about bugles?
What about them?
The crisps.
They've just come back, haven't they?
Yeah.
This is so weird. So I want to know if you're filming me, Chris, because so far tonight you've talked about Dimchurch, the place that I should be going on. I should be going on holiday next week to, but I might not be. So don't try burgle me. And also, I came back tonight from a American-owned supermarket
With some
that
beautiful.
sounds like Asda.
You mean it is Asda?
It might be, or it might sound something similar to it. Actually, my local Asda, where I live, is a is a Walmart supercenter.
Ah.
It still has Asda as the main signage, but the little sign next to it says Walmart Supercenter.
Does it have a McDonald's inside and you can buy guns in the fishing bit?
It doesn't. Well, you can buy guns in the fishing bit, but it does have a rollover hot dog stand as you go out where they cook you fresh hot dogs.
Does it have a Kong dong
as
in
fresh
there?
as they can be. They do not sell Kong dongs, unfortunately. They're far too small to be considered to be a Kong dong. But I did buy some bugles.
I think the problem is, Nick, is you're 2 weeks older than me, so we're basically two peas in the same pod. That's the problem. We both grew up with the same crap.
I bought, well, yeah, we proved that with Secret War toys. I bought some barbecue flavour bugles. Now, I do, like you, I think they're bugles. I know some people think they're buggles.
Oh, do people really say that?
Well,
Really?
they killed the video star, that's all I know. And I don't see how crisps can kill anyone that's associated with videos. So, therefore, to me, they must be bugles. But who knows? Let us know. You can email us and tell us. Also, do you know what I didn't find in the smaller Asda, which isn't the Walmart Supercenter, but they have now released apparently mint flavour Oreos into this country.
Yeah.
Crikey.
Now, has anyone tried mint flavour Oreos before?
No.
Yeah.
Aren't they the best Oreo flavour?
No, peanut butter. Peanut
No.
butter are amazing. Oh no, wait, there's gold ones that you can get now.
What?
Oh my god, they're amazing.
What do they taste of? Because I just thought they taste of like biscuit.
They taste like kind of like custard creamy, kind of, but like more vanilla-y. They're nice.
Because I'll be controversial, and I don't mind getting abuse for this. I'm not a fan of Oreos.
Oh what?
No, let me restate that comment. I don't like plain original Oreos. I find them boring.
Well, unless they're double stuffed.
Double stuffed are better. Chocolate cream are nice. And peanut butter ones are nice. Although the peanut butter ones we get here are not as good as the peanut butter ones we get in America. But the mint ones taste like Viscounts.
Yeah.
That's the really bizarre thing about them. They shouldn't do, but they do. And they're
Another thing that shows
lovely.
we're in our early 30s.
Why?
We're talking about Viscounts.
What, as if they don't exist anymore.
Yeah, basically.
But they do. 10 for 60p. Knock yourselves out. Don't talk to me about those orange ones. They're crap. But mint Viscounts all the way. Next week's Universal After Dark, we will be discussing Viennetta.
And Ferrero Rocher.
Ferrero Rochers. We kind of touched on that a bit earlier on.
And all types of ice lolly.
All types of ice lolly. We will also be discussing the 1995 Playmates lineup of Skeleton Warriors.
Ooh.
As well as the Street Fighter G.I. Joes that came out that year as well. So all that to come on next show.
If you say to anyone that Playmates used to make all the action figures, people kind of get the wrong impression. It's like Hugh Hefner's there making all the action figures.
And ironically enough, I had a Jenna Jameson action figure that you could strip.
Oh, not the one that was anatomically correct.
That be the one.
Oh, Nick, you
And
dirty
on
boy.
that bombshell,
You dirty boy. I remember seeing pictures of that with the piercing.
I was two things. One, I was 18, and secondly, I bought it from Tower Records on a mail order deal when I was buying Conor Reeves' debut album, because it was the only place in the world in 2003 that still sold it.
But that's one way to do sex ed in this country.
Well, I don't think Conor Reeves ever thought he was going to be discussed in the same sentence as a Jenna Jameson action figure that was anatomically correct. On that bombshell, thank you for joining us. I don't know who has actually lasted to the end of this episode, so
Or if
that'd be
anybody's still
fun.
listening.
That's it. I mean, I think that have tuned out quite early, and that's fine. We've enjoyed ourselves, and we will see you early next week for a Dis After Dark episode. And this podcast, with or without me, depending on popular opinion, will be back in 2 weeks' time. So say goodnight, everyone.
Night.
Good night, everyone.
See, at least one of you did it properly. This podcast is part of the After Dark Podcast Network.